Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a card using Lawn Fawn's Totally Awesome Gleeful Gardens, a Bug Deal, Oh Gnome, Party Animal, Really High Five, and Mom Plus Me. So I have combined a whole bunch of images from all different stamp sets on this card today. And I've stamped the images I'll be using on some Nina Solar White cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'll be coloring with my Copic markers. I'm starting with my frogs, and for them I'm going to use a new to me combination. I've just been playing with this one most recently and really enjoying it. So it is YG11, YG13, YG17, and then G46 just to really darken things up and give me a lot of contrast. So I laid in my shadows with that G46, and now I'm going right over the edge of that with the YG17, just softening up the dark areas and getting ready to pull it into the lighter areas. Then I'll follow that with the YG13 and begin to bring that out even more. I'm coloring this little guy as if the light is hitting him full on the face, so he's going to have equal shadows on the left and the right, and the highlight will be right on his happy little smile there. So finally I'll take the YG17, that's going to be my lightest, and I'm going to really scrub over the edge of the YG13. There is a really big hop between the dark G46 and that light YG11, so I just want to make sure I get a nice smooth transition. I also use the YG11 and YG13 on the belly. I colored the other two little frogs off screen, and now that the first one is dry, I'm going to go back and do some dot detail with that G46 just to give them all some extra personality. For the snails, I'm using E41, E42, and E43 for the bodies, starting with the E43 down at the bottom, and then I'm blending upward with that E42, and I'll finish him off with the E41. I'll make sure to do his antenna as well, so they also have some nice contrast. And then I will do the second little guy off screen just like I did with the frogs. For the shells, I'm going to stick to the same tone but bump it up a couple of notches. I'm using E44, E47, and E49. I'm using the E49 to outline those swirls so they get nice and prominent, and then I'll begin to blend those out with the E47, also adding a bit more contrast to the top edge of the shell, and then I can fill in the center white part with the E44. For my mushroom stems, I'm also using my E40s. I'm using E40, E41, and E42. Just putting a little bit of shadow right up under the mushroom cap and then along the side that the mushroom is tilted in. And then for the caps, I'll use R29, R39, and R59. Again, putting the shadows in the direction that the mushroom cap is kind of tilted downward, and then blending toward the higher end with the lighter shades. So I started with the R59 and then blended out a little bit with the R39, and I saved the majority of those mushroom caps for the R29 so that they stay nice and bright and give me a really great pop of color on the card. I also colored a few little accessory images, and then I moved on to my grasses, and for those I used G24 and G28. For the balloon, I'm using Y11, Y13, Y15, and Y17. I'm adding a bit of a dark shadow with the Y17, but I'm not going quite to the line. I want to leave a little bit of space for a rim light since this is supposed to be a transparent object. And then I'll blend on either side of that with the Y15. I'm going to bring that Y15 down on the opposite side also for a little bit more shadow, and then I will fill in the rim light with the Y13 and bring that toward the center, and then finally finish off with the Y11. And then for the rest of the accessory images that I colored, I left off the Y17 and just used the lightest 3 shades. Now I'm moving on to B21, B23, and B26. I'm going to do the little cupcake liner so I get a nice pop of blue on there. And I put a shadow down at the bottom and then also down where the little scallops of frosting are kind of overhanging. So there would be a little shadow cast there as well. And then blended out with the B23 and filled in with the B21. I'm also going to use those 3 shades on the wings of the little dragonfly, and I'm starting with the darkest on the outside edges. I want to do a 2-tone look, so I'm going to have blue on the tips, and then as it gets toward the body it will be green. So I'm coloring down with the B23 and then the B21, and then I'm going to go back to my first green combo minus the G46. I'm going to just use the YG11, YG13, and YG17 for the rest of the dragonfly. I did his little body and then started to blend into that blue area on his wings so that you would get that 2-tone look. I also stamped the stump from Mom Plus Me with Crunchy Leaf ink, which is Copic marker friendly, but it looks a little flat, so I want to add a bit of coloring right over top to help it look as dynamic as the rest of the coloring. I'm using E53, E55, and E57. And starting with the E57, I'm going to lay in some creases and shadows on the stump. I just want there to be some different parts that are kind of bumped out, and so in order to do that you have to have some shadows. So once I have those laid in, I'm going right over that with the E55 on the edges and pulling that color out and just trying to get a nice blend on that stump. And then I'm also going to add a little of the E55 to the edges of the top where it's been cut. And then I'll color over everything, including that little heart cutout, with the E53. And the top was getting a little dark, so I did decide to pull in the E51 for the center. And then I just trimmed everything out with the matching dies. Moving on to my card base, which is, I'm actually doing my focal panel directly on the card front. So I'm stamping Have a Happy Birthday in Lawn Fawn's Peacock ink. And then I will open up the card base and stamp on the inside. And the card base, by the way, is Lawn Fawn's Mermaid cardstock. And I'm stamping the small frog and a dragonfly, some cattails, and the sentiment that says, "You're totally awesome." I have taken some Noble Fir cardstock and cilantro cardstock and trimmed those down with the Lawn Fawn meadow borders and the grassy border. So there is the meadow border, there's the grassy border, and there's the piece of cilantro. So I'm going to glue the Noble Fir down flat to the card and then pop up the piece of cilantro cardstock with some foam tape so that I will have some dimension on my scene. And then I can begin to add my images. I'm going to start with the stump in the center because that is actually going to be the little tabletop for my birthday party. So I decided to make this guy the birthday frog. So I just popped him up behind the stump, and then I'm going to add the little cupcake with the leaf right on top of the stump. So they're singing to him happy birthday. And I wanted to add some clouds in the sky to kind of break up all of that space. So I used 2 of the larger clouds from the Spring Showers die set. And I just glued those up to either side of the sentiment. And then I can take the balloon and the little jumping frog, and I'm going to adhere them so that it looks like that frog is holding the balloon in his little hand. The 3 mushrooms I'm going to add to the scene right above the darker green hill. So I have that nice pop of red against the sky. So I added one of the smaller ones there between the frog and the mushroom, and then I'll take the taller one and put that to the right of the frog, and then finally I've got this other little mushroom that I'll add on the far right. And then I'm going to grab my little grasses and adhere those kind of overlapping the 2 edges of the stump, just to kind of integrate that a little bit more into the scenery as well. I'll add the little frog over on the right hand side, and I popped him up with some foam tape as well. And then I'll grab the 2 little snail friends who are here to celebrate, and they're going to go right down in front, one on the left and one on the right of that stump. I'll add the dragonfly up to the sky, overlapping that smaller cloud a bit, and then I'm going to open up the card and trim off the excess so that there's nothing overhanging that would get caught when you put this in an envelope. And then I'm going to begin to add in my little accessory images to fill in this little party. So I added one of the gifts on the back of the larger snail. So that's how he's transporting his gift to the party. And then I layered 2 more right in front of the stump. So that will be where the pile of birthday presents is going. I tried to add the hat with the little tassels on it on top of the main frog, but it just didn't fit. It was overlapping part of the sentiment. I probably should have put the sentiment up just a little bit higher, but I just added that one to the small frog and gave the frog in the center one of the hats without tassels, just so it wouldn't kind of overlap the O in the Hoppy birthday. I put the other little party hat with the tassels on the leaping frog and decided not to use the 4th one. I didn't want to cover up the antenna on the snails or the dragonfly. So the final addition to the card was the little flies that I had stamped. So I'm just adding a dot of glue where I want them to go and then popping them here and there on the card just to kind of fill in any remaining space. So I have 3 up in the sky, and then I thought it would be fun to add the 4th one right to the cupcake, since that would be appetizing to a frog. So I just added that as a little garnish. And then the 5th little fly, I couldn't really find a good spot for, so I ended up not using that one as well. And that is going to complete my card for today. I'll lift that up so you can see all the detail and give you another peek at the inside. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this fun little frog birthday party card. If you did, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and you can subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post new videos every Monday and occasionally on Fridays. And if you want to be sure that my videos always end up in your feed, just go ahead and ring that notification bell. If you want to keep on watching, here are 2 extra videos I thought you might also be interested in. You can click on either one of those to check them out. I hope you all have an absolutely amazing day. Bye-bye.